Hello and welcome to Raising Those Spirits. I'm Steve,
And I'm Sam.
and we made it to episode 66.
Is that what episode we're on? If we do another if we do another 600 episodes, it'll be 666.
We'll just have to start
Huh?
doing shorts.
Oh, yeah. You know what? We did a bunch of shorts earlier on. Well, I'm not doing the math. Nice. Episode 66. And back from a impromptu hiatus, like as we always seem to do in Golden Flu season.
Yeah, there was. I think my son has brought home something every week since Christmas, probably before Christmas.
He is a demonic entity.
Well, he's the most popular kid in his class, which I love, but like, it means it means I get every kid's germs.
Oh man, it'll be worth it. It'll be worth it one day because your immune system is going to be so strong. I feel like if you listen to every episode of the show, I would bet you we are at 10% of the episodes talk about germs.
Oh yeah, well, because we're always missing episodes because I can't talk.
Uh, I so far, knock on wood, have been lucky this cold and flu season. My wife was very sick. My wife was not. My wife was in bed for like a solid week. She kept getting up and trying to go to work, and she'd be at work for a couple hours and then come home. And this would happen just about every day for like a week and a half. It was real bad. Um, and my daughter got sick for a day. She was like really truly sick for about 24 hours. And I've been fine, and I feel a little cheated because it's like, honestly, I could really use a day of sitting on the couch and not doing anything. I really could. Um, there was 2 hours my wife and daughter were out of the house just, running errands, and I got to stay home. And I was like, I'm not gonna do laundry. I'm not gonna do the dishes. I've already walked the dog. I'm just gonna sit. And I watched a really bad movie on Tubi, and it was glorious.
Nice.
Yeah, it's nice. It was a nice little Saturday afternoon I had.
Yeah, I had the me and my son had like a entire day like that for the afternoon. Like Petra left at like 2 o'clock and didn't get home till like 9:30. So like we just like hung out, watched movies. Like it was. He let me pick, so it was actually kind of
What?
relaxing. Yeah.
What did you pick?
Um, we watched. Oh no, I lied. He let me pick the other day. He did not let me pick that day. That day we watched all the old Disney shorts, like the Haunted Ghost one that we watched for this show and stuff. Um,
Oh yeah.
he's super into old Donald Duck and old Chip and Dale. So we just watched like shorts for 2 hours.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, I hadn't seen them since I was like his age, so I was like, "Oh, this is great." Like snuggled up, eating some junk food.
I love those days. I don't know if we talked since I went to see Dogman.
No.
Did I tell you about the movie Dogman? It's in theaters. It was in theaters a couple weeks ago. I think it's probably still in theaters, but by the time this airs, it might be just about done with its run. It is the most bizarre movie, but I ended up really liking it. It's a animated movie. It's like a spin-off, I think, of the Captain Underpants series, which I have no affiliation with. I mean, I've never watched. I don't know Captain Underpants at all. My daughter never watched it either. But he wanted to go see Dogman, so we went and checked out Dogman. It's a cartoon. It's a police officer and his dog are um they're on the tail of this evil cat played by Pete Davidson. And there's a big explosion, and the doctors save them by merging them together into Dog Man, who is, it's the body of a man and the head of a dog. And I was like, this is some body horror stuff. It's like, this is really disturbing. And it's not just like it's not just like the dog on a man's body, which would be horrifying enough to me. I think that comes up in the movie Mars Attacks from when we were kids, and it kind of scarred me. The scenes where they were swapping heads with humans and dogs. Um, he has kind of the memories of both his life as a man and his life as a dog, and is really sad about it. I'm like, it really, they take a minute or two to really let you know that it's kind of sad about having the head of a dog.
This man is having an existential crisis. Why are
Right?
you
Like
laughing?
they it's like, well, this isn't funny. But I mean, like, once you get past that, the whole thing is just, it's just a, a silly kids movie. But I was like, wow, there's really some introductory body horror in the beginning of this flick.
It's
Um,
funny you bring it up
cute.
because 2 weeks ago we were taking a walk through Mystic Village and they have a little movie theater there and they had a poster for Dogman and I literally just stopped and I even said to Petra, I was like, this looks like a movie poster you would see in the background of another movie or cartoon.
Well, that's exactly how it started because I think that's how it works in the Captain Underpants universe. I
I
think
mean,
it's like,
they nailed it
I don't
then
know.
because
Yeah.
me, completely unfamiliar with either property, was walking by and was just like, that stuff makes me feel like I'm in the Matrix and we aren't getting the resources we used to. Like, yeah, no, it looked like it belonged in a movie as a gag, and now that I know that it was, great job because you conveyed it somehow.
Yeah, I think that's how it worked. I think the Captain Underpants series, I think, follows the two kids who write the Captain Underpants books. And Dogman is like a friend of Captain Underpants and somehow comes out of the book. I don't know how it works. Anyway, check out Dogman. It's a cute little kids movie. I enjoyed it.
I'm just
Oh
thinking,
man,
like,
but
remember like the old days where you would go to like a movie store and you would grab the wrong movie? It's like this very similar title or like two movies with
oh
the
yeah,
same title.
like what Asylum used to do, where they would put out their version of whatever the big movie was going to be, and then people would rent it by accident.
Yeah.
Because that was the Asylum's that movie studio's entire business plan,
Oh, yeah.
which I think, yeah,
And it's worked wonders for them. I mean, we're big
I
Asylum
mean
fans.
they've been doing it for like 30 years now. Like
Yeah.
no signs of stopping. They're just going to keep on doing it. That and like shark movies, because
They've
I
got
think
a
they put out the
formula.
Shark Data movies. Yeah, they figured it out.
I want their
They
formula
don't
has
need
to
to
have
be good.
changed by now because it used to be you get $1 million, like that was it. So like that way the things that succeed fund the next five, and if they fail, we only lost $1 million. So
Yeah, it was a smart business plan. I think they just did a bunch of stuff for the Sci-Fi Channel back in the day. So they always had an outlet, and now it's all stream. Like you can find all their movies streaming, and every now
yeah,
and then I would start watching something, and I realize I'm watching an Asylum movie. That I pretty much always finish watching it.
if Petra and I are looking at movies and we're like, because we love bad shark movies and stuff. If we're looking at a movie like, is this going to be real good or real bad? If we see it's an asylum, we're like, whoa, good time. Like, but for the per the blockbuster thing, I'm just remembering, or I'm just imagining instead of someone getting Dogman, they just get like BoJack Horseman because they see Mr.
Oof,
Pickles on the cover. Not Mr. Pickles, Mr.
Mr.
Peanut
Peanut
Butter.
Butter. Oh, Dogman would 100% fit into the universe of BoJack Horseman.
Awesome.
Yeah, easily. Anyway, why don't we move on to Cryptid?
Oh
It's my
yeah,
turn. I've got the great state of New York. I hope. I'm pretty sure that's what I'm on. Anyway, I did New York, so we're doing New York. If I messed up, I'll fix it next week. The great state of New York. And Steve, there were two I was picking from, and I just decided I'm going to do both.
All right. I mean,
Do them
we've
quick
skipped two states, so we can make them up with, you know,
with
with
double of New York.
for states that actually have things to talk about.
Yeah. And my cryptids are cryptids that are not cryptids. Steve, are you following me? Steve, I
Like,
already drank my entire cocktail, so I am having a great time. Um, so I did two cryptids from the state of New York that are not cryptids. Ooh, mysterious. I'm gonna kick it off with a recent one. This might be our most recent cryptid. From the year of 2008. Recently enough that it was after we had graduated from college.
we were full
Um,
adults.
we were actual adults living adult lives in the summer of 2008 when on the shores of Montauk, an eastern Long Island, which if you've not been to Montauk, it's like if the Hamptons were richer. Like these are these are big houses. On the beach of Montauk, New York, washed the Montauk Monster. And it went viral. It was in all the papers because it's back when papers still existed. And it looked like maybe it was a sea creature, and it had a red leathery skin, and it was small. It was maybe about the size of a dog. It has kind of I would describe it as looking like a almost finished cooking cooked turkey that is maybe a little burnt. You know, like the turkey's a little burnt on the outside and almost done cooking on the inside. This bird is not going to be good. It's going to be very tough. It has a beak-like nose with a mass of teeth. It's very gross looking, is how I would describe the Montauk Monster. But there's photographic evidence. We can say for sure that this creature washed ashore on the beaches of Montauk in the year 2008. Most likely, what it was a dead raccoon that had gotten washed in the water. But still, it became a viral sensation, and people still talk about the Montauk Monster to this very day. Steve, do you remember the Montauk Monster?
No, no, I don't.
You don't?
Although, well,
Oh,
the second you said Montauk, I just jumped to the Montauk Project. Montauk's got a lot going for it.
that's true. That inspired the TV series Stranger Things.
Yep, and the movie The Philadelphia Project.
Oh, I didn't know that one.
Or The Philadelphia
Um,
Experiment. There's been two of them.
oh wow. Okay. Yeah, it was a time travel experiment or something. I've read a little bit on the Montauk Project.
It's a cool little rabbit hole to go down.
Yeah. Well, if you ever find yourself in Montauk, New York, be sure to be on the lookout for the Montauk Monster, otherwise known as the local population of raccoons. Second cryptid that is not really a cryptid is the famous New York City alligators in the sewer. And I say that's not a cryptid for several reasons. One, alligators are real. We know that alligators are real. And honestly, they would only be surprising to find in the sewers of New York. If you're in Miami, alligators are in the sewer all the time. The urban legends of alligators in the sewers of New York City, much like the Ninja Turtles. Um, but again, not really a cryptid because in the 1930s, there was, in fact, a documented case of an alligator in the sewers of Harlem. It shows up in newspapers. It's documented. That actually happened. So that one is not a cryptid because it's true. Nobody knows how it got there, but there was in fact an alligator in the sewers of New York City in the 1930s. The police were able to get it. I don't know if anybody was hurt. I haven't read the article, but it did happen. So another cryptid that is not a cryptid.
It was
Often it's
RFK
said that
Jr.
RFK. Oh, that's right. He's crazy.
He did the
No,
bear
I didn't
thing
say.
for New York. I could see him dragging an alligator.
It's true. Yes, RFK, who is now a high up government official for some reason, likely found some alligators in Miami, drove them back to New York, and unleashed them in a sewer, much like the bear that he actually did that with, although the bear was dead. So, what a government we have, Steve.
Yeah, I mean, they keep it interesting.
They keep it interesting. So anyway, those are two cryptids that are not cryptids from the great state of New York.
All
I
right.
wanted to get a little urban. I want to get a little urban flair in there. That's why I did the sewer gators. I feel like so often we're talking about things that are in the woods or forests or the desert. Not
Yeah,
often are we talking about cryptids that are in the city.
yeah, you don't get a lot of city cryptids. You'd think you would get more. It's like rife with possibility.
Oh, I should have done the for New Jersey. We could have done the Hoboken Monkey Man,
Yeah.
which was an ape-like creature in the city of Hoboken that I believe was eventually proven to be a costume party gone awry. Oh, dip.
So what do you?
Steve, what are you? Oh, what am I drinking? That's I've already drank it. If you
Yeah.
can't tell. Oh, I did a Ciroc Passion cocktail. Ciroc Passion Fruit Vodka. It's a French vodka, and that was just 2 ounces of Ciroc Passion Fruit Vodka and the juice of half a lime, which I did. I poured that over ice, stirred it, and then strained it into a martini glass. And that's the Ciroc Passion Martini, or at least the recipe I found for it. Um, I liked it. I found it a little too sour, so I did a splash of I did some Sprite on top of that, and that really cut it. And I found that to be much more enjoyable. I see similar recipes that'll use specifically it says to use 4 ounces of Sprite or to use cranberry juice. Um, so yes, I like that probably a little too much. I'm a big fan. Drank the whole thing. And to go with the theme of Oz this week, it did have a beautiful green hue to it.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was good. I enjoyed drinking it.
In
It went
keeping.
really well with my BLT.
Yeah. Oh, that does sound nice. In keeping with the green of the Emerald City, I'm drinking a Yingling because the bottle looks like a little green tower.
Oh,
Um,
fair enough.
and also because Yingling is my favorite beer, and I haven't had it in 9 years, and I've just fully given up.
Was it that hard to find?
Oh no, no. Back in like 2016, the owner of Yingling threw like his entire weight and the entire weight of his company behind Trump for the election.
Oh my god, I forgot about
And Pennsylvania was a
that.
swing state. And I was just like, well, I can't buy Yingling anymore. But now I look around the world and I'm like, you know, it didn't
It's a
matter.
good
Not
beer.
giving him money for 9 years did not matter. It just means I spent a lot more money on other brands that I didn't like as much.
No, Yingling is a good. I was when I was just turned 21 and in college. I think Yingling was probably the first good beer that I drank regularly. I spent many a lovely evening that I hardly remember with a bottle of Yingling.
Yeah, they used to, by us in Jersey, do a lot of like yings and wings nights. So you'd get like
Oh man,
a dozen wings and like a Yingling for like $4 or something. It was, it was one of those like unbelievable deals. I'm going there because I'm poor, but I still want to eat and drink. It's,
I get it.
yeah.
I support you. I support your choice.
I mean, it's like those bars that you go to, that like every drink you get like a little personal pizza voucher. Have you ever been to one of them?
I'm not. The last time I did that, I think it was I want to say the year 2009. But
Uh,
Because in Massachusetts we don't have happy hours, so what they'll usually do is like if you come in a certain time, you can get a drink and it'll come with an appetizer, and that's how they get you in.
oh,
And I ate many a pizza. Or there was a bar I used to go to all the time in Cambridge. It was called the Newtown Grill. I don't think it's there anymore. And if you got a pitcher of beer, it came with a pizza, like a whole pizza. So I spent a lot of time at the Newtown Grill,
yeah,
just
I get it.
in consuming carbs,
When I
as
lived
many
in
carbs as
Brooklyn,
possible.
there was a bar called, I don't remember if it's the Alligator Lounge or the Crocodile Lounge. They're both the same people, but they're in different parts of the city. Um, but yeah, every drink you buy, you get um, a little tiny like personal pan pizza, and you eat two or three of those with your beers, and you're just good to go. So we did, long story short, a lot of yings and wings when you're pizzaed out or anything. Because in Brooklyn, not Brooklyn, Asbury Park, there was also two bars that did that with the pizza, and I was like, awesome. So Yingling got me through my
Uh,
poor years.
no, I get it. I'll tell you, you know what the most surprising news I got this week was?
Oh
I
man.
went to the
Oh,
I
George
went to the
Lowe.
doctor. I was gonna say, what happened to George Lowe?
George Lowe died today.
Oh. What I was gonna say
Is that
was
the most
I went.
surprising news you got this week now?
No, still no. I went to the doctor's office because I hadn't been in I don't know how many years, and I discovered my blood pressure was normal.
Mine too. They're like, your blood pressure is amazing. And I'm like, that shouldn't be.
How is that possible?
For real. It's like, so if I wasn't stressed this much, would I just die? Has my body acclimated to live at this pressure level? And like, I won't have, my blood pressure will be too low to stay conscious if I relax? Is that why my body won't let me get a full night's sleep? Oh man.
I'm really sad about Space Ghost right now.
I know. I was just like, oh, he did live action Space Joes, like Pal Joey. He did the Space Ghost. He was Dad in the Brack Show.
Yeah,
Like,
it was really, I mean, like really made Adult Swim what it is.
yeah,
George
really
Lowe.
defined my sense of humor for a long time. And what I did in film school. So much of what I did in film school was based off of that influence. So yeah, that was a big hit.
All right. Well, let's get on to stuff.
I made you sad. You're welcome.
Oh man, just a lot of late nights in high school and middle school.
Yeah. Man, I used to have that on like VHS tape. I would like literally tape it off of Adult Swim and keep all the episodes. It was, that was a show I was dedicated to.
Oh man. Okay. Well, we should do an Adult Swim retrospective one night.
Oh, that would be
Um,
amazing. Oh my
so
god.
we'll do that in order of George Lowe.
We could. Oh no, you don't really smoke weed. Never mind. I was gonna say we could do a drink with that, but that almost seems like something you would just be high while you do, because that's what Adult Swim turned into.
I mean, it's not like I'm sober over here. It just I imbibe in other ways, usually just to make me fall asleep. But yeah, whatever. It's
Yeah,
legal in Massachusetts. Like,
yeah.
I'll roll with it. Literally,
Okay, so we
we're,
watched
we're
Return to Oz.
several weeks ago. So if I don't remember everything that happened, it's not my fault.
You know,
Although I've seen this movie a couple of times.
I haven't seen this since middle or high school, I think. Um, yeah, that is correct. But my initial thoughts when it ended, I was like, what an amazing attempt they made. Because like I enjoyed it much more as an adult, but
Mhm.
it was so ambitious, and I feel like if Disney hadn't constantly given them budget cuts and stuff, it could have been like a competitor that summer. Because one of the reasons they say it didn't do well is because it was going up against like Cocoon and Life Force and like some other giant kids movie of the time, and it just wasn't happening.
It is it is a bizarre movie. Um, it's bizarre. That's the only way I could describe. I mean, I enjoy it as an adult. I did not watch this as a kid. I imagine I would have liked it as a kid because it was just a couple of weeks ago we were talking about Dark Crystal. I loved Dark Crystal as a kid.
This is close
Somehow,
enough to like Labyrinth and stuff. If you were a kid that could handle that, I think you could handle Return to Oz.
yeah, I think I would have enjoyed it if I had seen it back then, but I was not. It was not in my rotation. It was not something I watched. I was aware of it, but I wonder if I never picked it up because it was maybe I thought it was girly. That doesn't. I mean, but that doesn't feel like me. I don't think I ever really cared about that sort of thing. I'm trying. I don't know why I never watched this as a kid.
I know why I didn't, because my little Order Muppet child ass couldn't get over the fact that they recast Dorothy.
This, I think Judy Garland would have been elderly, and I
She
think
was dead at that
she was
point.
already dead at this. She was dead at this point,
Well, I
and
mean,
would have been in her like 80s if she was still alive.
all I knew as a kid is that basically every sequel where they recast people, it's not as good.
I mean, that's very astute as a child.
It's just like every single one of these crappy movie sequels that I've seen haven't even brought back the original actor.
I
So,
remember seeing clips of this in the video store. You know how they used to have the TVs in the video
hmm
store that would play clips from movies. I remember watching a part of it then and going, "No, this is not for me." But at that point, I would have been a little too old. They would probably been 11 or 12 at that point. I don't think I was going to go back and start watching that at that point. But the some of the puppetry is just very unsettling
oh, do you know the story behind that?
about why it's inside. I know that it was there was a lot of cost cutting measures. That's why you don't see a lot of the some of the other characters. But why they're unsettling? No, I don't know that story.
So the Wheelers are the lead villainess's like henchmen, and the lead Wheeler is this weird looking guy, but he was also like the movement choreographer for this. So he designed how the gnomes moved and how basically like everything that moved unsettlingly, the Jack Pumpkin, um, all that stuff was he choreographed them, and they basically like copied his movements, and he did one other too. That was he did. I'll remember it later, but you can look it up in the details. It's there's a lot of fun facts on
Hmm.
the IMDb. But yeah, no, that guy just like he did so much on this movie,
Oh, okay.
and you wouldn't guess it from Henchman number one, but he was like. So yeah, he is like kind of like who's the big tall guy who played Abe Sapien? Skinny
Doug Jones.
Doug Jones. He's kind of like Doug Jones for back then, apparently.
Oh,
It
okay.
like
So
he was just
he did a lot of this kind of work at the time.
well, he at least did a lot of like the choreography to teach people how to have that presence and how to move so it like feels icky.
Oh,
So
upsetting.
yeah, I just thought it was weird. I was like, okay.
I'm on his Wikipedia. He was Fran Sinclair on the dinosaurs.
Oh my god.
What a what an interesting career. Oh, he was the Noid from Domino's.
Was he?
He was the Noid. I
That's
always thought it was a puppet or something.
it had a voice. He might have just been the voice, or he might have puppeted it. Oh, the Goonies came out that summer. That's what it went up against.
Oh, there was no way this was gonna. There was no way Return to Oz was gonna hold up against the Goonies. I mean, they couldn't have known that at the time.
Yeah, but also, Disney had a shakeup right before it came out, and the new people that took over were like, "Oh, what is this?" and gave it limited promotion and limited release. So it literally could not have been successful.
Hmm. Okay, I can understand that. I can understand if you're like, oh, I've just taken over this company. Let me see what we have on the slate to come out soon. And then you see this movie with its bizarre puppetry and its I don't know, I'm gonna say a limited appeal. It's a sequel to a 50-year-old movie at that point. Which I mean, like at that point, Wizard of Oz is, it's Wizard of Oz. It's, classic. But yeah, I see it being a hindrance because exactly what you said, like who's gonna go see a Wizard of Oz that is not the classic Wizard of Oz? I feel like that's a hard sell. So I can understand from the executive standpoint of like seeing this and being going, I don't know who this is for, and I don't think anybody should see it. I
Yeah.
think they were wrong because I think it is a bizarre masterpiece, but I can understand why they would have that initial reaction to it.
Yeah. It. Oh God, I forget what I was gonna say. I'll come back to that because I remember my old thing. He along with doing the movement coaching for Scarecrow and Pumpkinhead and stuff, he was the voice of the gnome messenger character who hangs out with the king.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah, he was all over this
Our weird
movie.
little,
Oh,
our
that's what I
weird
was gonna
little
say.
wall animations.
It always comes back. I think one of the reasons it was able to be so weird is because this is the first and only movie Walter Murch has ever directed. He's just a sound guy.
Okay, I guess it's, everybody's got to take their shot.
Yeah, well, he
Now
was.
I want to go back and listen to the sound on it to see if it like, oh yeah, this was clearly made by a sound mixer.
Well, yeah, that's like he wasn't, and he wasn't just a sound mixer. He was the sound mixer for George Lucas and Francis Ford Coppola and Steven Spielberg. Like he even
Oh,
got.
he was the sound designer on The Conversation, which very important. Some of the best sound design in a movie ever. Because it's all about sound recording. Starring the late great Gene Hackman. That was wild.
Oh yeah, did we ever get closure on that?
No, we do. I don't. I mean, as of this recording, I do not believe that anyone knows what actually happened to Gene Hackman.
I was
By the time this airs in a couple of weeks, maybe we'll know what happened to Gene Hackman. But I am following that story.
I came up with an idea while I was high the other night that I pitched to Petra, and I'm gonna pitch it to you now.
I want to hear it.
It's called The Last Say, I think, is the name I came up with, and it is basically like a news source that only keeps track of all these weird ones. So like, you're gonna forget about Gene Hackman in like a week, but in like 2 months when they actually find out what happened, that'll be front page. So it's literally for you to like get closure on all the weird little stories you've read. They follow up on all of them.
They just follow the weird stuff. I mean, I would follow that blog.
Yeah, I would follow the crap out of that site. Like, just give me, okay, cool. There's been an update on this weird case. Oh man, I remember that weird case. That was like 2 years ago. Why did it take so long? And then you read about
Yeah,
why it took so long. I'm not
I
going to
dig
do it.
it.
So if you're listening and you want to
No,
do it,
somebody steal that idea.
yeah, steal it and
See if
make
it,
it, and don't charge me if you're going to do like a subscription or something.
Yeah. But if Walter Murch, sound designer, did the sound design on The Conversation, a movie that has fantastic sound design, and directed this movie, which is weird as hell.
At one point, he got fired from this movie, and
Probably fair.
Spielberg and George Lucas and Francis Ford Coppola all called the studio and were like, hire him back.
And you don't want, I mean, talking about a group of people you don't want to cross.
Especially in
No,
1985, you're just coming off a Jedi, Indiana Jones, like The Godfather. They're at like they're on top of the world at that moment. I couldn't even think of three
no,
directors of that caliber right now.
no, absolutely not. Well, I mean, Spielberg and Coppola.
No,
I
I
haven't
mean
seen
like young directors who have this much buzz, this much fame. All you know what I mean? Like
Oh
we,
no, nobody ever had that level of say. Nobody, no director today has the level of sway that those three directors had in the mid 1980s.
yeah, and
Rivaled only by some of them today.
I was surprised that Kubrick wasn't listed because it was usually the four of them together. But no, he.
Those guys just like hung out. Can you believe? I was
Well,
listening
didn't
to
they go to college together?
yeah, I think so. I
They
was
they
listening
met
to a
in film
podcast about
school. Imagine being in that class.
I mean, one of the guys that was not those guys in that film class. It's just like, oh yeah, I was in the same film class as George Lucas, Coppola, Spielberg,
I
and
mean,
I was Lenny.
we
My movies didn't do as well.
Carl and I kind of had that after college because Grace and Michelle took off on YouTube, and
Oh, that's right.
we worked with that. We took like every class with them. So it's just like I'm really happy for them.
Now it's always great when your friends win awards. My old roommate Josh, who has all sorts of Emmys. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah,
Good for you, all your Emmys.
I'm so happy he's doing good.
No, he's doing great. No, Josh Solomon, check him out.
It's hard
Man,
not to
where
check
were
him
we?
out.
No, he's everywhere. He's all over the place. He's all over Twitter or whatever. It's not
Everything
Twitter
like
anymore.
podcast, NPR, like he just pops up in all my feeds, and I'm like, I already found this out from him. We're still friends, like on Facebook. But
No,
let's get back to Return to Oz
uh,
because we've barely talked about it, and we're at 40 minutes.
oh my God. So the opening of this movie is terrifying because Dorothy's parents. This movie opens up. It's a couple of weeks, maybe months after the end of Wizard of Oz, and Dorothy's aunt and uncle have come to believe that she lost her mind because she keeps talking about Oz, and they're going to send her to get electroshock treatment, which is awful.
Hey, 1899, how you doing?
Like, hey, we just invented electricity. You know what we should do is send it through the brain of a child.
I mean, electricity was the new berries. What happens when you feed these to a child?
So we got to find out. So there's only one way to find out if this can hurt people, and that's to, shock children's brains with it.
Look, the only way to
Um,
know if it works on children as well as adults is to eventually test it on a child.
but again, like, you can understand why an executive would watch this and be like, "What are you doing? Why are you making a movie where Dorothy is getting committed?"
Yeah,
It's so upsetting. It's upsetting right off the bat. It's just like,
and
oh, you'll be fine, sweetie. It's like, you know they're gonna zap her brain, Auntie M. What are you doing?
it takes 20 minutes before she even gets to Oz. There's
Yeah,
a
it's a while.
It's a stressful, gloomy ride to Oz.
And that whole time I'm like, is she just crazy? Because she starts like following a little girl around who is definitely not there. And I'm like, this is upsetting because I feel like maybe Dorothy is mentally ill and she's not going to get the help that she really needs.
So
But then
like
she gets to Oz.
American McGee's Alice is basically just a weird ripoff of the concept of Return to Oz.
Oh yeah, the video game from like the late '90s, I think.
Yeah, early late 90s, early 2000s. It's just Alice goes back
Yeah,
to Wonderland while getting electroshock treatment. Like it's just
yeah. Maybe let kids movies just be kids movies.
right? I mean,
It's just like why do we need to take a dark turn?
I feel like every single 80s movies we have discussed, we have had to say that. We're like, but why did this need to be here in a children's movie?
I'm gonna point at frog dreaming for an awful lot of that.
Yeah.
Just upsetting things. But she gets to Oz, and that's lucky for her. And she brings a chicken along with her, which is nice. We leave Toto behind for this one, and she's got a talking chicken.
Why
That's
couldn't
fun.
Toto talk?
I was reading about this after watching this, and this was a plot hole from the original books from 100 years ago,
Okay.
where if any other animal gets to Oz, it would gain the ability to talk, because in Oz, animals can talk in the books. And somebody finally, a couple of books in, brings up, it's like, well, why can't Toto talk? And Toto turns around
And
and
chooses not
goes,
to.
yeah, he's just like, I just really never had anything to say. And just goes back to being a dog. And I was like, that is messed up. So
Yeah.
it's like Toto was fully sentient the entire time in those books and just chooses to remain silent.
Here's
Which, I mean, props to them for filling in that plot hole.
that
But
raises a horrifying question, Sam.
tell me,
When he went back to Earth, was he still sentient or did he lose
I
it?
have I think he keeps that sentience. I think he is the has the intelligence of a man trapped in the body of a dog. I
So
choose to believe that's the dark truth.
so for 6 months, this man trapped in the body of a dog was just running around a farm in Kansas.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather be a dog than a man, right? It's just like, I can poop outside, people clean it up for me.
It's just, you
I'll
know,
kill it.
it's again with the body horror is all I'm thinking. Like, because it's almost worse to lose it when you go back and then, like, you pop back to Oz and you're like, oh my God, I'm smart again.
I never want to know that I don't. It's like, could you imagine like the terror of like, oh, when I leave, I'll lose this intelligence. That's
It
terrifying.
wasn't even a question when
And
Dorothy left the first time.
so
Oh,
dark.
and in a ripoff of C.S. Lewis, when you get to the Emerald City, it has been destroyed upon arrival, kind of like in the second Narnia book.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's and there's all those like headless statues around, and we meet our villain around this time, who is the head stealing witch. Again, that's just some crazy body horror in this movie with the head stealing witch. Are the heads alive?
Yeah, because they were all screaming.
So, do they have the thoughts of the witch, or does each head have its own life and sentience? Does it remember its life from before its head was removed from its body to just be an ornament of this witch?
I think they are kind of themselves Futurama style when they're on this shelf, but when they're on her, she's in control. Because if they were independent, she would never take them off and change them. No one would ever give up the seat.
No, that's true. That was so creepy. Again, totally understandable from the viewpoint of the executives who tried to bury this movie. That was so creepy. Like that's so nightmare inducing. It's like this isn't a movie for children. And I know that we talk about movies that have creepy stuff in them for children, but this was like I was like, this is a lot.
Yeah, I understand why this might have scarred a lot of children. It I was like, this is great. I can't wait until my son is much older so we can watch it. Because he's 5 now, but I don't know, man. I feel like if it's a coin flip, if it might not scare him, he might love it, or it's gonna cause like permanent, like core memory unlocked. Like,
I this was another one I put the trailer on for my daughter. I was like, "You're gonna watch this movie with me?" And she was like, "Absolutely not." I was like, "I respect that."
the other reason I cannot show it to my son is because while I like Return to Oz, both me and my wife do not like The Wizard of Oz, and you kind of have to show them The Wizard of Oz before you can show them Return to Oz. Otherwise, you're missing a lot of context.
That's true. I mean, like it really is designed to be a sequel, which is an odd enough thing because Disney produced this. They didn't own the rights to the 1930s movie, the Judy Garland one, the classic. So they have to skirt around anything that is not in the public domain, which really is a lot of like the big stuff from the Wizard of Oz, specifically like the ruby slippers. Although I think they ended up just paying MGM so they could reference the ruby slippers.
They did end up paying MGM for that. Yeah, that's right. It's just
Yeah.
like, why? Why? Like, you didn't have to show them. You,
No,
like,
just yeah, because I don't think they never show them at all. They just reference them once.
no, they show them. The king sticks his legs
Oh, they
out.
do show them.
Yeah.
Oh,
And that's the thing. I'm like, you
unnecessary.
could have just not. They're not even in the book. Just do what was in the book.
But it has to skirt that line where it's really like where it is legally a sequel to the book, but it has to be close enough to the movie that they can, so people will recognize it. And I think that makes sense that they also shuffle off the 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 Tin Man, the Scarecrow, and the Lion for most of the movie. You hardly see them, although they are prominently on the poster.
And they are. They all look pretty terrible because they aren't supposed to look like that, but due to budget cuts, that's what they got downgraded to.
And they look bad. Um, they look up. The Scarecrow is very strange. Just with his the textures of the Scarecrow, I didn't like. I mean, the Tin Man, looks kind of like a janky robot. It doesn't look good. Um, the lion is a big lion puppet. I think that lion was fine,
Yeah.
but also because we don't see them, they're not going to put as much money into those puppets as they do the characters that we see a lot of. So we get this new group of sidekicks. Again, there's weird stuff going on. We've got our talking chicken, who we went over. We have TikTok the robot, which I feel very bad for the actor who was in the suit because
I
he was
know.
like had to the way the suit is built. It's like basically a big ball with legs that the puppeteer inside had to control with his arms while like scrunched up into a ball. Like he had to like contort his body to get into this thing. I'm
He
like, why don't you just design it differently?
he had to be upside down and backwards to walk in it.
Just build a different suit.
Yeah. If you want to picture what
Don't
it
have
looks
it look
like,
that way.
imagine anything that Dr. Robotnik would like attack you in at the end of the level and put legs and arms on it. Like
Wow, that's very accurate.
like imagine him in his little hoverball thing and put arms and legs on it.
Yeah. No, just design the robot differently so that you don't have to like kill a person to get it. Why would you even imagine being the person designing this puppet suit, this robot suit puppet thing, and going, oh, well, this will work fine as long as the person inside of it is upside down and backwards. You think that um, Robert Munch, Walter Munch, whoever the director was, would be like, oh, why don't we just do it differently than that? Because no suit has ever been designed that way because nobody would ever design a suit that way. Let's stick with that tradition and just build it so the person could stand up normally. Or do an R2D2 thing where it is, suitable for a little person and they could just drive it around. We know that that technology existed for at least 7 years at that point.
Yeah, it's unfathomable.
I can't imagine. I can't imagine it. Um, we have Jack Pumpkinhead, who was the inspiration for Jack Skellington. I think that's pretty cool. He's a strange character, or who he is a like a scarecrow, almost like the scarecrow, but he's got the head of a jack o' lantern, which is very scarecrow like, who imprints on Dorothy, thinking Dorothy is his mother. That made me uncomfortable.
Yeah, they smushed the second and third books in the series into one movie, so they left out like all the context for every new character basically. So
Oh,
he just comes across weird and creepy because
yeah.
you're supposed to like meet him in the second book, and then I think Dorothy meets him in the third book. But yeah, it is weird. The way they did
He
it was
makes me
weird.
yeah, he makes me uncomfortable because it's clearly an adult man playing this character who's walking around calling a young girl mom. I did not like that. Because how old is Feruza Balk? Feruza
10.
Balk is our Dorothy in this movie. She was 10.
Hmm.
Yeah, I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. Have we done the worst witch?
No, we always talk about doing it, and I was considering showing it to my son soon. So if you want to add it to the list, I'm down.
Oh
Just tell
sure.
me
Yeah,
which
let's do that
version.
one.
There's been like 9 of them.
Oh, let's start with the Feruza Balk version. Let's go on a Feruza Balkathon.
All right, I have to make sure I have that,
Uh,
but that's a
After
movie,
that, I
right?
guess yeah, it was a TV movie from the UK in the 80s. I watched it. It's definitely streaming somewhere because I watched it a few months ago.
All right.
Yeah, that movie's great. So okay, tune in for to a future episode. We'll talk about the worst witch. But yeah, I did not like Pumpkinhead, Jack Pumpkinhead, and then the Gump, who is the head of a moose tied to a couch and then brought to life, which it probably is the most body horror thing in the movie. What a horrible existence for the Gump.
Yeah, and you can tell it's weighing on him a little bit. He is
Yeah, he knows
aware.
he's fully aware that he's a bunch of garbage tied together, brought to life. And does he remember his life? He remembers his life as a moose, I think.
Yeah, he absolutely does because several times he's like, "Well, I never did it this way in my old body." Like,
God, he knows he was dead for a time, and he knows that when the magic wears off, he'll return to death.
yeah, and
And
like
his existence sucks.
he has wings
That
now. He has a
sucks.
whole new body that he has no idea how to control.
Right, because it is literally a bunch of garbage tied together.
Like, imagine if you woke up and your body was a sofa and you had wings, like, you had 4 legs, no arms, and 2 wings. How are you even moving around?
No, you just pray to go back to being dead. Like if I was the Gump, I would be like,
Kill me.
return me to my eternal slumber. This existence is not for me. I do not want to have these wings of leaves.
I would wake up, look her in the eye, say unsubscribe, and just put my head back down.
It's like, I don't want to be mostly a couch.
Yeah, it's not even a nice couch.
No. He is garbage tied together, brought to life against its will. Because he doesn't. Okay, and again, I watched this movie a couple of weeks ago, so my memory is a little hazy. Does he get his body back at the end of the movie, or does he just remain a head with a couch body?
Head with a couch body. I
So that's
was
just how it's going to be.
I was expecting it to be Glinda the Good Witch in the mirror because I was like the Good Witch will probably give him his body back or something, but the witches didn't show up this entire movie. They aren't even mentioned.
No, someone needs to, yeah, some magic user needs to go back and give this gump back his body. But I mean, like in that case, does that mean like death is surmountable for all? Think about that. Like, does death have no meaning in Oz if you could just give the gump back his body after he spent time as a taxidermed head?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure
I like this movie.
the princess is immortal. I know that.
Sure.
So, immortality is absolutely achievable.
Okay. I don't even remember the plot of this movie. Okay, they're trying to escape from the head stealing witch because she wants Dorothy's head. Because she, oh no, she wants to let Dorothy grow up a little bit so her head will be a pretty head later down the line. So at least she's not going to murder a child, but she is going to kidnap a child to farm her head. It's just arguably worse than just the murder
Yeah.
because it's a really drawn out murder. So that's terrible. They run afoul of the Gnome King, who is just like a giant talking mountain. Why didn't the No King want them around? What was his deal? I forget. I can't remember.
Um Dorothy is I think he's just wary of Dorothy. She killed the Wicked Witch. She's like, you
Okay,
know,
so she's a threat.
she
She's
is
just
a
overall a
threat
threat
and
to
he
them.
knows she had a chicken.
Oh, right. And his weakness is eggs.
Yeah, so immediately it was because of the chicken, but also, yeah, like just Dorothy Gale being there is a problem, I believe.
All right. So any do-gooders of Oz are gonna, or any evildoers of Oz are going to generally be wary of Dorothy because she fell the witch, which seems fair.
Yeah, I mean, she's toppled regimes before.
Wow. Well, I mean, that's a lot to put on a 10-year-old. Um, but good for her being a liberator. Yeah, because I mean, like she saves the day. They poison the Gnome King using an egg. Good for her. That was good. Good work, Belinda the chicken.
Yeah, Belinda the chicken
Um,
deciding to stay, being like, why would I go back to a shitty farm in Kansas?
no,
Or I
she
could,
knows what's up because she knows she's gonna get her head chopped off eventually and just be
yeah,
dinner. She's unlike Toto, who's like, no, I'm just going back to being a regular dog.
yeah, yeah. She's like, no, I can talk and be understood and do things here. I think I'll do that.
Yeah, she makes the right call. Get away from that farm. Live with it. Because to her, I don't think it's going to be as strange that her friend is a talking moose head. She's a chicken. She's a talking chicken.
Yeah,
She's
who's
all
she
just
got to judge?
uh anyway, the day is saved and all of the people who were turned to stone turn back into regular people and get their heads back, I suppose.
Yeah, I was unsure how all those headless statues just got their heads back, but I guess it was all just part of her magic wish.
It's good. Because you'd have to be very careful. Because let's say you turn everybody's bodies back to flesh before you reattach the heads, then you're done. Like I mean, like then game over. You have a bunch of dead, decapitated women.
Yeah, when I saw
So
them, I
you have
was
to
just
be
like,
sure.
I don't think you're getting back on your body. I just don't see a way.
Oh, you would have to. Yeah, no good.
Your body's gonna have to Headleaf's body of Agnew around.
I guess you know what if I've would you rather be a head at the beck and call of a witch or dead? That's the question of this movie. I think I'd prefer death. I really do.
I mean,
Rather than be a disembodied head in a closet.
it's the closet that gets me. If the heads had like the Halla heads from Futurama or something, but yeah, no, you're just under lock and key.
They don't seem like they interact with each other. I think the heads is the thing in this movie that gets me the most tripped up. The heads don't really interact with each other. I don't think they have a lot of control even when they're detached from the witch's body. I don't think they can do much.
I was more focused at that time on the fact that the original witch head is the love interest from young Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, I never watched Young Sherlock
Oh
Holmes.
my god, we should do an episode for that. That is a spooky, creepy mystery.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
All
that
right.
that
Two
is
future episodes have already been teased.
that is a one that like the I we watched a lot as a kid, but from like partially under a blanket. Um, but yeah, the woman whose head she originally had, who was her jailer at the end, is one of the leads in that Spielberg movie.
Oh, nice.
I mean,
So,
just go watch it. It's a wild ride. It's got so much claymation. I missed claymation.
yeah, it's very tactile, I would say, this
Yes,
movie,
in a way
because it's
that
the 80s.
CGI just isn't a lot.
No, it's tactile. I would say sometimes unsettlingly so.
Hmm.
But you gotta watch it. That's the thing. It's just like this is such a bizarre ride from beginning to end that I think it is worth watching. But I don't know that you'll get your kids to watch it. I certainly couldn't get my kid to watch it, and I don't know that I would push it. I don't think I feel like it. I don't need to encourage her to watch this one. I don't think she'd like it. I think it's unsettling in a
Yeah,
lot of ways. But as an adult who is interested in bizarre works of children's fiction, it's absolutely something that you need to check out if you haven't seen it already.
we got time for a few fun facts.
Oh, hit me with those facts.
In the final parade celebration after everything's restored, that entire scene is like an Easter egg. It's all characters from the books that didn't make it into the movie.
Oh,
So they all got to have like an appearance at the parade. They had to completely refilm that scene because they got to post and the princess was wearing a yellow dress and they were all like, that looks terrible. And they refilmed it with the dress she wore in the movie. That huge scene with so many people.
wow. That must have been very expensive.
Yeah. And finally, the room. So they do the Wizard of Oz thing where the people in the real world and the people in Oz are played by the same actor. Um,
Hmm.
so the evil witch in this one is played by the head nurse who's going to give her the electrotherapy treatment. And she gets locked in room 31 in the real world. And that lady's head is the head of the witch that is in compartment 31. She's head 31.
Oh,
Yeah. So there was a lot of like little continuity like that throughout the movie that I was like, that's really good.
you think that should be head number one?
You really would, but you gotta wonder if it was real or not.
That's true. I choose to believe that it was real, because if not, then Dorothy's aunt and uncle were right for sending her to the asylum.
I want this movie to gain traction now and get like a conversation going like at the end of Inception. Was he asleep or not? It's just like, what is Dorothy crazy?
Oh yeah. Uh, but yeah, good good watch. I'm glad we watched this one, even if I have very mixed feelings about it, but I think it's worth watching.
Yeah, I was happy to revisit it after all this time because it had basically just turned into like myth and legend for me. Like it was that far back. So I didn't have as many memories as just like things I knew about this movie. But yeah, where can they find us, Sam?
Oh, you can find us on Instagram and Facebook, I guess. I don't know. We don't log into those a lot anymore.
Yeah,
But I will continue to check them in case anybody sends us a message on Facebook or Instagram at RTSpiritsPod. Um, and yeah, so tell us what you think of Return to Oz. Tell us if there anything you think we should cover in a future episode. We'd love to hear from you.
you can also tell us in the episode comments on our SoundCloud or YouTube.
Oh, that's right. Plenty of ways to get in touch with us. Just drop us a line. We'd love to hear from you. You know, you wonderful people.
All right, thank you as always for joining us. I'm Steve.
And I'm Sam.
Good night.